Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Hi, hello-y, my name is Loey and I am back with you once again today to dive back into the scary side of TikTok. More specifically, we're taking a look at glitch in the matrix TikToks. These videos are some of you guys' favorites to watch and they're some of my favorites to film. The only reason you don't get them more often is I feel like I get glitch in the matrix videos recommended to me less. These videos are only possible because of you guys. If you tag me in your favorite spooky finds over on TikTok at loeybugxo, it really helps me to find creepy videos to watch. But yeah, usually it's like paranormal stuff. So if you guys want to see more of these, if you ever come across any scary glitch in the matrix videos, make sure to tag me. That being said, I have been collecting these videos for a while and we have a lot to get through, from people seemingly jumping through portals into alternate realities to aliens all over TikTok and maybe in the ocean. There's just a lot to talk about today. So with that being said, let's get into it. People on TikTok have been talking a lot lately about parallel realities. More specifically, people are discussing the quantum immortality theory, which is the theory that someone's consciousness could continue to exist in a parallel reality, like you jump timelines should something happen to you in your own reality, to a universe where that thing never happened, or I don't know, circumstances were just different. Think like the butterfly effect, you know, one little thing changes and your entire world changes. And in these TikToks, these posters may have just experienced something like that. Now, this first video comes from chloeboullee, who shared a story that just went mega viral on TikTok in the past couple of months. When Chloe was 16, still in high school, she went on a ski trip. She's from Australia and snow is not super common there. When it does happen, they have to take advantage. Now, she was going to be snowboarding on this trip and she was a beginner snowboarder at absolute best, always with the instructor and the rest of the group. And on this particular day, she's just snowboarding, it's a normal day, when suddenly something really weird happens.
So I was snowboarding with a big group of people, but I was the person at the very back of this group. Everyone starts to turn around this big mountain. Because I'm 5 seconds behind everyone, I turn around the mountain 5 seconds later. Mind you, it's a super busy day on the snow, it's a beautiful sunny day, and there are people everywhere. And like not just us school kids, like a lot of people. But when I turn around this big mountain, everyone is gone. Everybody who was in front of me was gone, and everybody who was skiing or snowboarding behind me was gone. Like there were people who were not in the group I was snowboarding with, other people behind me. So once I went around this mountain, they should have followed. I should have been able to see everybody in front of me because after I turned this mountain, it was just a straight long slope down the hill. But I was dead alone. I'm obviously instantly confused, shocked. I don't understand what's happening. I get my phone out to call my best friend who was on this ski trip with me. And I remember so distinctly, my phone was on like 75% charge, like it was charged. But as soon as I pressed this little circle to enter my phone, my whole screen went black and the no battery signal came up. The only way I could make sense of what happened is that everybody somehow just beat me to the bottom of this course and everyone behind me somehow went past me without me realizing. I was just like grasping at straws. So I continued to just keep snowboarding down the hill, hoping that I'd just make it to the end. The thing is that there was no end. There was no end to this course or whatever alternate reality course I had just jumped into. As I mentioned, I was not an experienced snowboarder, so I was trying my best to snowboard, but I kept falling over. I decided to just eventually give up, clip my snowboard off and walk. After what feels like forever, I finally came to this what looked like an abandoned ski lift. It was really dingy and old and creaky and looked scary. I thought my best chance was to get onto this ski lift so I could get up high and have a look around, hoping that maybe I'd find where the main area is, because in the main area there's like a bar and cafes and restaurants and whatever. I thought if I can see that, I know which direction to walk in and I can just make my way over there before the sun sets. But when I get onto this ski lift, there's nothing but snow and trees. And obviously I was freaking out because it was sunset, like it was about to be dark. But then I was also thinking, how the did this happen? Like I was with a group of people in a busy area, and also because I was a child and a beginner at snowboarding, obviously they took us to a course that was super close to like the main area. The fact that I'm now on this single-seater ski lift looking out 360 views and there's nothing, I didn't know, what do you even do? And it was on that ski lift I just broke down sobbing. Like I genuinely thought I was going to die.
Now, Chloe is absolutely terrified at this point, and I wanted to pop in really fast to say I saw one comment with a lot of likes, a concerning amount of likes, where somebody said that they didn't believe her because how did she have pictures if her phone was dead? These are clearly Google stock images. Like, I'm sure you know that. The photos that she's showing were just popped in editing to give you a visualization. But yeah, the ski lift stops and it drops her off quite literally in the middle of nowhere. Nothing around at all, just empty snow. And she's literally about to give up. She's about to lay down in the snow and accept whatever her fate is, when suddenly she sees what looks like lights in the distance.
Cabin that we were staying at, the way to get to this main area to go skiing and snowboarding in was that we had to catch a shuttle bus and then an underground subway. The sun set, it's dark. You have to understand how scary it was. Because when I say dark, I mean I couldn't barely see what was in front of me. There's no city lights anywhere. I didn't have the torch on my phone to shine. Just as I was about to give up and sit down and accept what was going to happen, I saw like this glowing light in the distance. And what it led me to was like this glowing tunnel with a staircase leading down into it. And what led me to the bottom was an underground subway. How that was there, I don't know. Why it was there, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense for there to be a proper station there because I was in the middle of nowhere. But sure enough, the subway came and I jumped on it. And it took me to the shuttle buses and I took a shuttle bus back to the cabin. And when I walked into the cabin, all the school kids I was with, all the teachers that were there were all having like dinner together. And I was like, was no one looking for me? And everybody very nonchalantly, not in like even a rude way, were just like, oh, hey, Chloe, there you are. It was almost as if they were hearing me through a filter and they weren't grasping the gravity of what I was trying to say. I don't know. The whole thing was weird. The energy was off. For the next few days, I stayed in the cabin. I refused to leave the cabin.
I think that it's so spooky that Chloe said herself at the end of this video, like, what if something had happened to her? What if she had gotten lost in the snow? And then she hopped to a parallel reality in which she made it back safe and sound.
And then when I got home, things felt slightly off. I don't really know how to explain it, but for example, certain objects in my room were in like a different place. And it's not as if anybody in my family would have gone in and rearranged my room. It didn't feel like that's what happened. It felt as if that is where it belonged. But I knew that it was in a different spot before I left. Even just weird things like timing felt different. Everything was just slightly tweaked. When I told my sister about this story a few years later, she said to me, there probably is a timeline out there where you did get lost in the snow and quantum jumped. And she said there's probably a timeline out there where our family is grieving you, which is so scary and sad to think. But that's my story where if I told anybody, they probably wouldn't believe me.
It's really weird. And I always think that like these kinds of stories where people remember details so vividly, like you can see her getting so emotional during this video, retelling it, so scared all these years later. I don't know. This one really freaked me out. It's literally been in my phone's Glitch in the Matrix TikTok album for months now, so I'm very curious to know what you all think. It's hard to follow that up, but somehow TikToker tristangalindo manages to do just that. Except in Tristan's story, he's coming to us as the experience has literally just happened to him. Now, he's on his way home from work one day, and he works like a town or two over from where he lives. So it definitely takes a while to get there. And yet, as he's making the drive, he suddenly loses a ton of time.
I am going crazy. I don't know if I just went through like a different dimension or went through a time loop or what the just happened. Or maybe I had a stroke while driving. I don't know. I live one town over from where I work. So it takes me about 25-30 minutes to get home. All I remember was getting on the highway. My husband texts me. I look down. I text him back real fast. I look back up and I'm no longer on the highway. Somehow I'm in the town that I live in and I'm on this random road that I never drive on. It's literally a road that leads behind like company buildings. This road, people don't drive on this road, but I'm in the town that I live in. I have made it in the town. I'm 5 minutes from my house. And when I got here, it was only 5:14. There is no possible way for me to get from my job to where I live in 14 minutes. The last thing I remember is getting on the I'm so fucking scared I'm about to start crying. I get on the highway. I look at my phone. And I just write back, okay, and then I'm here. And I'm not like crying because I'm just crying because I'm scared. What crosses my mind is like, do I just not remember driving? But there's no fucking way I could have gotten here. Anyway, that scares me. Has anybody ever experienced that?
Now, people had a lot of responses to this. You know, some people saying, I do that all the time. I just drive and suddenly I'll realize that I have no idea how long I've been driving for. I kind of like space out. I know that's happened to me when I've been driving very tired. And it's always like a really scary experience to like look around you and realize you have no idea how you got to where you are. I think that people, I don't think it's like a super common thing. I hope most people aren't experiencing that on a daily basis, but I think it's something most of us can relate to. And Tristan responds to people saying this, that maybe he just like dissociated or something, by saying he really doesn't think that's what happened and he has texts to prove it.
I'm going to show you guys the timestamps, and the timestamps are the reason why it's not making sense to me. Okay, a lot of people are saying, well, you dissociated, and I get that. It could be a possibility. I don't know what happened. I made a video to see if anybody else experienced it before, but the reason why I don't feel like it's that is because the times are not adding up. Okay, just hear me out. He texts me at 5:15 to pick up some tamales. I write back at 5:15 and say, yeah. I look up, it's 5:14, I'm on that road. Okay, when you dissociate, you lose time. You don't gain time. I understand it was only 60 seconds, but that's weird. Okay. He writes back, thank you. At this point, I'm scared as and I immediately text him back, telling him what the fuck just happened to me. That message was sent at 5:58 p.m. So if it went from 5:15 and then 5:58, I dissociated, I lost time. I gained a minute here and then lost 44 minutes. A total of 45-minute issue. That's what doesn't make sense to me. That's why I made the video, because I don't feel like I dissociated. I feel like something really happened that was weird. But you guys are going to believe what you want to believe.
People have tons of theories here, from quantum immortality theory to dissociating while driving. Someone even said maybe seizures, which if that's the case, I'm just so glad that he's okay. I'm so glad he's okay anyways. But one thing, as I'm scrolling through the comments and trying to see what netizens are saying, one comment I keep seeing is, oh my God, this literally just happened to another woman who had an experience in her car as well. Like, this is so weird. They were literally posted like a day or a few days apart. So I go and I look, and there is a TikToker. Her name is biggsdiamond. I'm so thankful she's okay, because she had something really similar happen to her. She is in the car with her children driving down a road she's very familiar with. And she suddenly looks up and she's like, not on that road anymore. She's nowhere near that road, has no idea where she is at all. She says she glanced down at her phone for a second, glanced back up, and suddenly everything around her was different.
I was driving, coming from Walmart, me and my kids. And when I tell y'all, I take the same road in the same way every time. Like, even my daughters said the same thing, y'all. I look down at my phone. I kid y'all not. When I look back up from looking at my phone, me and my kids was somewhere else, y'all. I cannot make this up. I don't even know what to call it right now. I don't even know what it is right now. I'm still in the shock, right? So look, y'all, when I look up, me and my kids, when I look up first. And the first thing I say is, where the am I at? Like, I didn't even recognize where I was at. I was not where I was just at before I looked at my phone, y'all. I promise y'all, I was somewhere else. As soon as my kids look up, they say the same, like, Mama, where are we at? We was not just right here. Like, we was not just right here. I turned my GPS on. I put my address in. I was like 30 minutes from my house. I don't even know how to I even got that far. That's what the GPS said. I don't even know. So I turn in this place to do a U-turn to go back the other way, y'all. When I tell y'all, when I pull out of this place to go back the other way and I come to a stop, while I'm sitting at a stop trying to make a left turn, a car slammed into the back of me hard as Y'all, I cannot kid y'all. This is why I'm in the hospital right now with this neck brace. Like, my kids are getting checked out. They in the other room. My youngest child, they got her in a room with me because she was so hysterical and she did not want to leave my side. She like still in shock about everything. I'm not even understanding. Like, I don't know if it's called a timeline jump, a dimension jump. I don't even know what the it is, but y'all put some comments down below because right now I'm not understanding what the just happened, y'all. And y'all, what's so crazy about the car is they saying they didn't even see me. It's like I just appeared out of nowhere and they didn't even know I was there until they hit the back of my yeah, it was like I came through a portal or something. Either I came through a portal or they came through the portal behind me, and motherfuckers didn't realize because they did not even see me until they actually impacted my car, y'all. And I was sitting there when they slammed in the back of my car, y'all. I promise y'all. So, okay, y'all, doctor here, I gotta go.
At the end of this, she says, like, did she just suddenly hop through the portal right in front of this car that literally hit her? Did the person just hop through the portal right after her and smack right into her because they didn't know what was going on either? The person driving the other car said that they just did not see her at all. And granted, of course, that's probably what most people would say after rear-ending someone that hard. Did she slip through realities? Did she go through a portal like she said? All I know is that I'm so happy she and her daughters are safe. That had to be absolutely terrifying. As far as I know, she hasn't posted anything, at least on TikTok since, so I really hope that she's recovering okay. I just can't even imagine how scary that must have been. But so bizarre. What do you think about this sudden increase in these glitch in the matrix stories and experiences where people are maybe jumping to alternate timelines? I'm really curious what your thoughts are on this. This poster came to TikTok to share her first ever glitch in the matrix experience, and it's a classic item duplication glitch that honestly has me feeling a little weirded out, I'll admit it.
I'm at work right now, but I just had my first glitch in the matrix experience, question mark. You know, all those stories where people are like, I broke a cup, but I found the exact same cup in my cabinet later, or I'm wearing a necklace that I hadn't bought until a few months later, stuff like that. So my hair was super frizzy today, and so I put it up in this clip, right? White marble clip, I think from like Dollar Tree. But then I was at the orthodontist today, looking at my Invisalign or something, and it hurt when my head was against the chair, so I took the clip out and I put it in my pocket. So then I'm out of the orthodontist and I'm walking to my car and I pull my keys out of my pocket, but something crashes to the ground at the same time. And so I look down and it's the clip. The clip fell out of my pocket as I pulled my keys out and landed on the ground in front of me. So I pick the clip up and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I put my hair back up really, really quick. And I get in my car and I drive off to wherever, my work. So now I'm parked outside my work, my hair is up, I turn my car off and I put my keys in my pocket, but I feel something else in my pocket. Clip was in my pocket, but it was in my hair at the same time, and I only have one of them. I'm sure someone that works at Dollar Tree is gonna tell me they like came in a 2-pack or something, so I definitely had to. And sure, but then why did it fall out of my pocket? How did I put it in my hair? And then how did another one end up in my pocket is the question.
Like she said, the most likely thing here is that these were sold in 2-packs and she just had 2 of them, but why would it have been in our pocket? I don't know. I feel like us girls, we know what's in our pockets, okay? We don't have a ton of pocket space. We know what we're packing in there. And just an extra hair clip, I feel like that's just so random and strange, and she seemed so weirded out by it that it's just not the norm, clearly. But hey, free hair clip, you can't complain. I stumbled across some new Mandela effects that are currently going viral on TikTok, and they're pretty weird. The first one, I think I might be a little late to this one when I was searching for more info on it on TikTok. A lot of the posts were coming from like 2021, 2022, but this video from woahthatsstrange talks about the fact that Tinkerbell may not have played as big of a role as you think in the intros of your favorite Disney films.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Tinkerbell fly over the Disney castle at the beginning of the movies, like the intro to Disney movies? And in the old movies, she flies over the castle and then comes and dots the I in the word Disney. Well, Disney is saying that that is not true. That's never been an intro to a single Disney movie. But I remember she would fly over the castle, and that's her pixie dust going over the castle, and she flies up and dots the I in Disney. And Disney's saying it never happened. And then I go look at all the intros to Disney movies, and it doesn't happen in a single intro. Am I wrong? I'm not going crazy. I swear, other people have seen this, and they are saying that it's a Mandela effect. We're in a different timeline. I mean, don't y'all remember this? How can you say that that was not Tinkerbell? That was the intro to Disney movies. And for them to say that it never happened, this is definitely a different timeline.
There have been many attempts to debunk this, and maybe you would think that some people have. Some people saying it's this like Disney Fast Play logo that came from DVDs and stuff, but I remember, you know, the little arch going over the castle, and then Tinkerbell comes out and she puts the dot on the eye of Disney. And it's really weird because like the more I think about it and the more I try to rationalize to myself that I must just not be remembering it correctly, the more I'm like digging my heels in. Because no, I remember that intro so distinctly. And again, I was a kid when I would have seen it, so maybe I'm misremembering, but this is honestly one of the Mandela effects that's freaked me out the most since the Fruit of the Looms cornucopia. You know, where Fruit of the Looms was like, no, we never had a cornucopia, and I quite literally lost all sense of self. Now, another one that's going really viral concerns a very popular piece of art that people are convinced has changed.
There's a really big, supposedly new Mandela effect that will convince you you're in a different timeline. Are you ready? Do you remember like Michelangelo's David statue? And do you remember his eyes? Try to picture what they looked like. Did they have little concave hearts in them? I Googled it because I did not believe this. I was like, this is a joke. This is a prank. Like Google's playing a prank. Look at this freaking Google post right here. If you know, you know. Something just happened spiritually where things got a little different, and this is part of it. So whatever reality we're living in, it's the one with the heart-shaped eyes. And I'm here for it, although I kind of hate it. I hate this. What was he thinking? Putting heart-shaped pupils in the freaking statue. If you remember the statue this way, good for you. A lot of us don't. And a lot of us are really disturbed, and overnight, it seems, there's supposedly like a little shift in reality, like a little tick over, and overnight this freaking statue has heart-shaped eyes. That's all.
For me, this one doesn't hit crazy hard. I didn't, you know, go to art classes in school. I was a band kid because my parents were like musicians, so I didn't have any time for like extracurriculars outside of my music ones. So this one didn't like startle me all that much, but it really has seemed to take the TikTok community by storm because there are so many people who are like, no, I have spent hours studying that face of the Statue of David, drawing that face, and I don't remember hearts in the eyes.
Hundreds of thousands of people are joining me to discuss the most recent Mandela effect, which is the Statue of David suddenly has heart-shaped pupils. A lot of really great points are made, so I'm going to share both sides with you. On the side of this is for sure a Mandela effect thing, multiple people have tattoos of David, and they have tattoos of his face really close up, and they did not discuss the heart-shaped pupils with their tattoo artist, and there's no heart-shaped pupils on their tattoo. And if you're getting a tattoo of a face, you would for sure discuss whether or not the classic heart-shaped eyes should be in the tattoo. Another one is multiple students in college have drawn for many hours at a time as a class his face in detail, and there was no hearts, and they were drawing his face specifically. One girl even had a textbook that used to have a photo of him, and she went to go look, and there's just no photo. And she remembered there being a photo, and she's like, where's the photo? Lots of stories like this where people had experiences knowing there was a picture, knowing there was eyes, whatever. One girl has a t-shirt that she's had forever with circle eyes, and guess what? There's still circle eyes on the t-shirt, which is really weird because of this. The Mandela effect implies that we are in a reality where he's always had heart-shaped pupils. And so a lot of you are like, I remember him having flat eyes with no heart-shaped pupils, but I'm going to my textbooks, I'm going to the pictures, and he has heart eyes, so I guess I was wrong. That's the whole point of the Mandela effect. We remember something different than our reality currently has. Some of us are from this reality. Some of us have always seen the heart-shaped pupils. Many of us are from a different reality. And lastly, a lot of people are like, it's 17 feet tall, you wouldn't see the pupils. Most of us do not know this statue from visiting Florence and looking at it in person. Most of us know it from pictures. We know what his face looks like, we've drawn it, we've seen it. We know his face because we see pictures. We're not looking up, we're looking right at him. And his face is iconic in our reality. In the reality I'm from, I know what David's face looks like. That's why everyone's freaking out in my comment section. That's why there's hundreds of thousands of people watching, because when we think of the statue of David, we know what he looks like. Lastly, oh my gosh, I immediately said this to my husband. Has he always had that grimace? Has he always looked angry? And my husband was like, he did not used to look that way. I didn't want to say this because it sounded crazy, but I have so many people being like, that was not his expression. There's this little thing that he used to not have.
What a lot of people say is that the statue of David never had pupils at all. And I don't think that I remember this statue well enough to say one way or the other. I'm just not someone who has like a ton of knowledge on this sculpture, but the way that other people are reacting to it, I just really wanted to share it with you. So let me know, are you from the reality where Tinkerbell put the dot on the eyes of Disney in the intro of every single Disney film, and where the statue of David did not have hearts in his eyes? Let me know, because we might have been reality neighbors. Now, this glitch in the Matrix story comes from Nicole, or Cookaholicwife on TikTok, who says that she had a crazy experience. She originally submitted it to Auntie Matrix on TikTok, but wanted to retell it because it's such a crazy story, of the time that she and her friend toured a house that would later disappear. I don't mean it was torn down. I don't mean it was moved from the spot that it was in. It never ever existed, and she has such a distinct memory of this home because something quite traumatic happened to her there. So let me set the stage for you here. Nicole and her friend Kaylee are currently looking for a place to live around this point in time. I think she says in the video that this story happened like 2 decades ago. They're looking through the newspapers one day when they come across a house for rent. And it's on like the other side of town. It's kind of away from like their friends and stuff like that. Not a side of town they're that familiar with, but you know, they know roughly where this house is. So they decide to go there. They're noticing a lot of good things about the house from the jump. Like, you know, it's a nice normal house. It has parking. They won't have to have their friends park on the street when they come over for parties and stuff. But it's when they get into the house that things start to get really bizarre.
So it is a single family home. There's like 4 or 5 steps up on a concrete porch, and then the house is basically just like a square. Next to the driveway is, just like he said, the laundromat. And the parking lot of the laundromat kind of like bleeds into the yard of the house that we're looking at. So you could just park there and walk right over. This is great. On the other side, there's a house that has a big tree in the front yard, and there's 3 windows. The middle window is broken. The only reason I can think of for why this stood out to me is because kind of like a safety issue. Like, we're not super familiar with this neighborhood, so like, is it safe for us to live here? The guy comes out onto the deck. Side note here is, I don't know where he would have parked because there was not a car in front of me in the driveway. It's creepy, but it just plays into the entire story at this point. Anyway, side note. All right, so we walk up the steps, we introduce ourselves. Nothing about this guy is remarkable. He is not giving off any creepy vibes, just like he did not on the phone. We walk into the house, and houses in this area were built in like the 40s and 50s. He said him and his brother were fixing it up on the phone, right? But we walk in and it's very dark, and it's very dirty, and it's very dusty. There's no lights on, and I don't know if the electricity was off or if the lights were off because he didn't want us to see how dirty it was. There's a couple windows in the house, and there's like one in the kitchen, and there's a curtain over it, and the sunlight is coming in, and this is our only light. And like, you see the dust particles and everything. It's very dirty and very dusty. We walk through into the living room, and there's built-in bookcases. And I'm trying to like focus on like positive things other than like, ooh, this house is gross. Kaylee and I are like avid readers. So I'm like, oh, cool, we have bookcases. But then there's a boarded up window, and I'm like, what is that about? And he says, oh, well, it has to do with the shed that they built outside. which doesn't make sense for the layout of the house being a square, but I'm like, oh, no, whatever. Again, it's not quite a red flag, but it is still a little bit weird.
Now, at this point, he takes them to one room in the house and he says that they're gonna fight over it because he knows how girls are with their clothes, insinuating that there's some kind of like huge walk-in closet. They're kind of giggling. I mean, things are weird clearly at this point. The place is dirty, it's dark, it's off, but you know, it's not that bad. You know, they're keeping an open mind, but once they get into the bedroom, this supposed closet, and this gives me chills, is like pitch black. And the guy wants them to go into it.
The closet is, the framing of the drywall is there, but there's no doors. And it is a pitch black hole. Like, hand in front of your face, you could not see. This bedroom is one of the darkest rooms that we've been in. And again, the dust particles in the sunlight coming in through the curtain. It's very, very dim. And he says something like, oh yeah, that we made it like a walk-in closet. You can walk in, flip on the light switch, and go all the way back and see it. And I'm kind of like, if you wanted us to go in the closet, why wouldn't you have left the light on? And I'm feeling uncomfortable, but I'm still trying to like justify things. And we talk about something else, and he tries to get us to go into the closet again. And at this point, it's weird. We have all the red flags. They're fully waving in place. Kaylee is standing behind me, and I can't see her, but I can feel like the tension in her. And I hear her voice in my head, and she's like, we need to get the out of here. And I'm like, I mentally respond to her that I know, but we need to play it cool, because if we don't, we're not going to make it out. I don't want to turn and look at her. I don't want to make eye contact. I don't want this man to know that he has gotten to us at all. And we're going back and forth, and we're coming up with excuses about like, oh, we got to meet our friends, or we really don't have that many clothes, or whatever we are saying. And that is the last memory that I have in the house. The next thing I know, we are in my car, and we're a couple miles away at a red light. And now we're at the point where multiple things are happening at once. Like, I felt like I was seeing myself outside of myself, and none of the things were making sense as they're all happening. And this is very, very fast. Kaylee's talking and her mouth is moving, and I can't hear her. The clock on the dash is hours later since we've left the house. We're at a busy intersection that we couldn't have been sitting at for very long, because somebody would have honked. Somebody would have rear-ended us before we had sat at that light for more than, one light cycle. None of this makes sense, and I don't understand. And there's this audible popping noise, and then I can hear. And Kaylee is talking like she's been talking for a while, and she's talking about like, I don't know, it's like a project for like our speech class or something. And I think I just blurted out, like, how did we get out of the house? And she doesn't know.
So Nicole comes to, and I mean, they're like in an intersection. She's driving. Her friend is in the passenger seat just talking. And Nicole's like, how did we get here? So they end up going home that night, and it's weird. They tell their friends after, like, we have a crazy story to tell you, basically. However, if that was all that happened, we probably wouldn't be here. I mean, that's a terrifying story. Definitely like a little glitchy, because how did you teleport from that house to this random intersection and you're driving and stuff? But kind of like Nicole explained it, maybe she was dissociating, maybe like she was so in fight or flight that her brain just didn't remember the details of getting the heck out of there. But this is where it gets weird, because when they drive by this house again, it's not there. Everything else that was around this house is there. Like the parking lot for the laundromat, these trees, this house with the 3 big windows. That house, the one that they toured, is the only thing missing.
The gravel of the parking lot for the laundromat is here, and the neighbor's tree is here. And the middle window is still broken, and the house that we went into is not there. And I'm like, that's not real. That's not possible. Kaylee also sees this. We then each also, and I didn't say this in the initial story to not drag it out, but we both initially see this when we're not together as well, that the house is not there. And at that point, we then discuss it. And you can't rationalize this. There was a house that is now not a house in a spot where a house could not have fixed. I realize that sounds insane. So we just pretend like it didn't happen. Nobody knew exactly where we went anyway. Like, they just knew we looked at a house on X street. So It's not like anybody else would have noticed the house disappeared. It was a pretty nondescript house.
Now, in a follow-up in a part 2 that Nicole posted, she answered a lot of people's questions, and you can watch the whole thing on her account. She also seemingly has told a lot more stories around this that I haven't watched yet, so if you haven't gotten enough of the disappearing house story, make sure to check her out. She did talk about changes that had happened for her and Kaylee, and you know, kind of equates them to, yes, I had some personality changes. Kaylee also apparently had some bigger things happen that she posted about on her account as well. But as for Nicole, who's the only one I'm really focusing on right now, she says, you know, like, I don't really know if I was more outgoing and social all of a sudden because it was just that kind of formative time in my life where I just wanted to be out and social all the time, and before this she was really an introvert, or was it because she, you know, hopped timelines to another world where this house never existed?
In November or October of last year, I was in New Orleans, and I had said, oh, I should just go see a psychic while I'm there. And I'm walking around and I just randomly see a sign and it says like psychic tarot card readings. And I walk in and I just ask if anybody's available. They say yes, and they sit me down with this woman. She's like, what do you want to know? And I'm like, I don't actually. I just want you to have the cards tell me something. Because I don't want to come out and ask. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to ask. I don't want to give too much information. So the first thing, she pulls the cards, and I'll be honest, I don't remember what was what because this entire thing blows my mind. We'll get into that one second. So she pulls the cards and she's like, you really, really need to be prepared and aware of a big change that is happening to your career in the next 6 months, and it's going to be mentally a lot, and I need you to be prepared for this. Side note, she was 100% accurate. The reason why I could not make this video in May like I had intended to be the full 20-year exact time frame of this is because of what happened at work. So I'm kind of reeling off of that, but I bring up the courage to ask her a roundabout question about the house. And I said something like, okay, so my friend and I had this experience years ago, and it was so impossible to believe that we've kind of questioned our sanity. Do the cards say anything? Do you get any impression on this? And this woman looks me dead in the face and she says, you were there. It happened. It's real. I still haven't fully processed that. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot to hear. I didn't ask anything else. Like, I was just so mind blown at the information that she told me that I didn't ask anything else. The only thought I remember having is, I need Kaylee here. We need to do this together. This isn't questions. This isn't something I need to be doing alone. I did tell Kaylee about this afterwards and so forth, so we would like to do this at some point. So anyway, speaking of timelines and all of this, Kaylee and I were talking this past Sunday, like early afternoon, talking about how we feel like something's about to change, like we're like dangling over a cliff. Things are just weird. And I brought up to her that we were at the 20-year mark, just past it, for the house, and that I needed to stop making excuses and go to the Historical Society. And I said, I'm going this Friday, the 26th, I'm going. No more excuses.
And when she is on the road to the Historical Society, which she already had a weird feeling about, she was already kind of trying to talk herself out of, she literally almost gets hit by a car that came out of nowhere.
And I'm getting ready to make a left-hand turn, and I look left and there's nothing. I look right and there's nothing. I look back left. I'm looking left as I'm turning, and there's no cars blocking my line of sight. But as I am turning and blocking the street where I'm like this, there is an SUV barreling down at me at twice the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit at least. Thankfully, it was a new SUV that had like the automatic braking feature, because they were not there. I was looking the entire time. And then they were there. And if it wasn't for that feature, I would not be here making the video. So, didn't exactly inspire any confidence to keep driving to the Historical Society, but I did. And I'll be honest, I literally talked myself out of a panic attack the entire way there, the entire way back. Historical Society, I don't really have great news. They go off of last name for everything. And because I do not have a last name for the land, there's not a lot that they think they're going to be able to pull. They took my information. They have my phone number and my email. They'll call me if the more detailed researcher finds anything. I think it's probably going to be a dead end, to be honest, but we tried, you know? And then last thing I'm just going to say about this is on the way home, I told myself I was going to drive past that house again. I needed to close this chapter to some degree and drive past this house again. It was not going to hold this power of being scary over me anymore. And I drive down the street and I'm okay. Like, I'm not as anxious or nervous as I had been the entire time. And I come up to what used to be the laundromat, and the house is still not there. The house with the 3 windows on the side is still there, and the window's fixed, and the big tree is still on the yard. And it's not there, but it didn't terrify me the way that it used to. So that's something.
It's so weird, you guys. It's literally so weird. And she remembers this story so well all of these years later. I totally see why Auntie Matrix would have originally talked about this one, because this is one of the craziest glitch in the Matrix stories I've ever heard. If you don't know who Auntie Matrix is, also, she exclusively talks about like glitch in the matrices and scary stuff on her TikTok. So check her out. I'll have her listed down below as well, because she's one of my favorite TikTokers. But yeah, what do you guys think here? My theory is that they hopped to a reality where that house never existed. And I know what that sounds like, but hey, you're watching a compilation of Glitch in the Matrix TikTok, so can you really blame me? We are now getting into a segment of the video I'd like to call Aliens. I didn't really have anywhere else to put these TikToks. I don't ever make alien content, I feel like, and if I have talked about UFOs or aliens or whatever, I feel like it really has just gone in the Glitch in the Matrix TikTok videos. However, aliens are such a hot topic on TikTok right now. I feel like you can't scroll without somebody talking about the aliens in the ocean that became a topic of conversation after a recent congressional hearing on UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomenon, which is just an alternative to UFOs, unidentified flying object. One of the people who's being quoted and talked about the most is a man named Luis Elizondo, who, according to his own bio, managed a highly sensitive special access program on behalf of the White House and the National Security Council.
It is my honor and privilege to testify before you on the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomenon, formerly known as UFOs. On behalf of our brave men and women in uniform and across the intelligence community, as well as my fellow Americans who have awaited this day, thank you for your leadership on this important matter. Let me be clear, UAP are real. Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies.
So he's not saying like, oh, these might be real. He's saying they are real. But I was so confused as to where this conversation about aliens in the ocean was coming from. Because in the days that followed the congressional hearing, my entire For You page was videos like this one from Astro Alexandra talking about the aliens in the ocean.
Are there aliens in the ocean? Last week, there was a House oversight meeting titled Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, UAP, Exposing the Truth. In this meeting, 4 government officials and members of the military testified that they believe there are non-human intelligent UAPs. They believe that. However, to date, not a single one of them has ever been able to provide a single piece of hard evidence. Luis Elizondo has also admitted that his friends in the government have in the past given him fake UAP information before. And so then the Pentagon releases its annual UAP report, and they reviewed 757 new cases of UAPs. Of those, they said that 21 cases merit further analysis due to anomalous characteristics and/or behaviors. They also say it is important to underscore that to date, AARO has discovered no evidence of extraterrestrial beings, activity, or technology. The Pentagon is saying we have things that we don't know what they are, but we don't know what they are, so we can't say they're aliens. And the government did not confirm aliens in the ocean. The ocean thing was Congresswoman Lauren Boebert asking them if there are alien bases in the ocean, and they said they haven't heard that.
In your investigations, have you come across any data or visual evidence like sonar readings or underwater footage of these UAPs?
I have not beyond what's in the report.
So it's up to you who you want to believe. I personally believe in aliens, but I can't believe that they've been to Earth until I see hard evidence, undisputed proof, and every other option has been exhausted.
Another one from Ari Lexington, or justarrii on TikTok, literally garnered almost 4 million views talking about the subject.
I believe that outer space is a distraction and space is really under the ocean. Space is not real, it never has been real, it's never going to be real, it's a distraction. And for content purposes, I'm completely crazy, everything I'm about to say is completely alleged and I don't know what the I'm talking about. In 2014, researchers found a body of water 430 miles under the Earth's surface. This body of water had 3 times more water than the actual Earth itself. The Earth is 71% water. They said that this body of water took a 4th state. It was not a solid, liquid, or a gas. It's some sort of unexplainable substance. Only 5% of the ocean has ever been explored, so this would explain space being at the bottom of the ocean. Because how is it possible that you have built rocket ships and launched human beings to outer space to explore the moon and other planets, but only 5% of something that's in your own backyard has been explored? Me personally, I'm not surprised. This is not going to be the first thing you see about aliens. This is not going to be the last thing you see about aliens.
But every time I tried to track down, like, what is the exact quote people are talking about here? Is there footage I'm missing? Like, what are we looking at, really? I couldn't find an exact quote that people are listing. And I'm going to be really honest with you. I am currently in a 3-week jury trial. And this 2.5-hour congressional hearing, while I love you and I love making these videos, I can't listen to the whole dang thing. But I did track down at least what I think is what people are referencing. This testimony comes from Michael Schellenberger, who is a founder of Public, which is a news source outlet, and he covered UAPs ranging from 1947 all the way to 2023, and specifically in his testimony, he talks about aliens around the ocean.
The report to Congress details in detail various UAPs, including spheres, orbs, discs, saucers, ovals, triangles, boomerang, arrowhead, and irregular organic. The report describes various incidents found in the human intelligence databases. One involved orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of its patrol area. In another incident, the crew of a Navy aircraft carrier watched a small orange-red sphere rapidly descend from a high altitude of 100 to 200 yards directly above the flight deck of the CVN, or aircraft carrier. And since my reporting on this immaculate constellation last month, another source came forward who told me that they saw a roughly 13-minute long, high-definition, full-color video of a white orb UAP coming out of the ocean approximately 20 miles off the coast of Kuwait. It was filmed from a helicopter. Then halfway through the video, the person said the orb is joined by another orb that briefly comes into the frame from the left before rapidly moving again out of the frame. The person discovered the video on SIPR, the Secure Internet Protocol Router Network, which the DoD uses to transmit classified information.
Look, I'm not a government official, and I am certainly not here to try to convince you or dissuade you from believing that there are aliens in the ocean or anything else. If you're asking for my personal opinion, I do think that aliens exist, but I have never seen an alien video, a UFO sighting, anything like that, that has ever fully convinced me that we have documented them in any capacity. It's like Bigfoot. Do I think that there's some kind of creature out there that people are seeing and we've categorized as Bigfoot, and maybe we just don't know every single species of animal in the world? Kinda. But there's nothing clear enough or well documented enough for me, at least, to believe that we have had alien sightings here on Earth. And if we have, we haven't documented them. At least not outside of, really grainy phone videos, which maybe I'll be convinced otherwise by the end of this video, because there's a lot of UFO sightings on TikTok right now. That being said, I was so curious how people were reacting to all of this, and I found some interesting TikToks I thought I'd share with you. This one from Locksmith is a very realistic reenactment of the government announcing aliens in the ocean.
We've gathered you all here today to let you know that the space aliens are currently vacationing in the ocean. Did we check if they're just fish? They're not just fish. Oh my God, for the 600th time, no, there are no pictures. A bunch of white people put some shoddy Ring cameras down there and they broke almost instantly. We will do everything in our power to keep all of you safe, even though we did get a text from the aliens that says, quote, "We wouldn't touch any of you with a 10-foot pole." No, yeah, they can text, but not FaceTime. Apparently, they said their front cameras are broken, so I'm just gonna call in MEEE for that part of the investigation. Holy, there's actually one right there. No, that's a bug. That's a bug. Yeah, I am texting with one of the aliens. It's not like anything serious yet. Stop. But we basically remembered the ocean existed, and then we were like, that checks out. We're going off of what we call scientific vibes. Any questions? What's that? Universal healthcare? For the aliens or for you? For the aliens, all set. Not for the country. Not for this country, no.
You have videos like that all the way to this one from supremetingz saying that no, aliens are not in the ocean. The ocean is space.
Y'all keep talking about it's aliens in the water, it's aliens in the water. It's not aliens in the water. The water is how you get to space. Water is a portal. You can't go up. To get out of space, you gotta go down. The aliens are not in the water. Space is the water. That's why the water is infinite. That's why we don't know how deep the water is. The water is space. The water is space. The aliens are coming through the water from space.
A personal favorite came from Nani Reno, who basically talked to one of the aliens, who confirmed that Earth is basically a prison planet.
So why are you guys in the ocean? What's that about? You trying to get away from us?
Yes and no. This is a prison planet for us. Probably you too, I'm not sure.
What?
Yeah, we get sent here when we do something bad. They send you here to fend for yourself, and sometimes they give you faulty equipment, like the invisibility goes off, or the gravitational field around the ship that we create. Because it has its own gravitational field, it tends to like glitch sometimes, and we get seen, and sometimes we crash, and then you guys find us and probe us and keep us hostage and, you know, ask us questions and things, and this is really where we go for punishment.
What?
So yeah, or the occasional field trip of the troubled youth that we have. You know, if they have aspirations of taking over galaxies or harnessing the power of other living beings, they get sent here as a
We are your beyond scared straight?
I don't know what that is. Of course.
Now, all of this conversation around aliens on TikTok has some people sharing their own alien stories or experiences that they think could have been tied to an alien anyways. This video from Sarahtonen opens off with a strong, when I was in high school, I was abducted by aliens. She basically says that every single day she would go from her house to her boyfriend's house. She even gives us a visual of exactly what the road looked like. Artistic queen. It's literally just a 2-lane road that connected her home to her boyfriend's house, and that's really all there was to it. She drove that road all the time until one day when she drove it, it was not the same experience.
Well, I was going down that street and just driving my car by myself, and all of a sudden the dash on my car goes out. All the lights in my car are off. And this was in a span of probably 3 seconds that all of this took place. And I recognized that the lights in my car just went out, and I started thinking, what the f-? And before I could say, I blacked out. Absolutely no recollection of what happened after that, but then I wake up and my car is still off. All of a sudden, the lights in my car all turn on, the radio turns on, and I'm driving. It's not on the gas, but I'm in drive, and I'm driving. And I'm thinking, whoa, that was really weird. And I start looking around. I'm not on that road anymore. I am on a dirt road with no lights anywhere to be seen. I don't recognize the dirt road, never been on the dirt road, have no clue where I am at all. So I grab my phone to start navving where I am. I'm freaking out, of course. My phone's dead. Completely dead. I don't remember if it was 100% charged, but I know that it most certainly wasn't close to dying. So my only option at this point is to just keep driving. I'm driving for a good 5 minutes, panicking, crying, sobbing. I'm 17, I have no idea what just happened to me. And in the distance, I start seeing some lights. So I'm like, thank God, I'm close to a road. Pull up to where the lights are. I pull up to the original road that I was on. Now, there was one little dirt road going this way. The only thing about this little dirt road is that the only way that you could get onto this road coming this way was from a city about 30 minutes away. So one of two things would have had to happen for me to get where I was on that dirt road. First one would be to go all the way around the city and then down to this dirt road, or I would have had to drive about 10 minutes down the road, turn around, and then start driving down this road just to then turn around and then come back onto that road. But mind you this, There's no way that could have happened because I looked at the time. All of this happened in about 10 minutes. So there's no way that I could have gone either one, around the whole city through the dirt road, or went 10 minutes down the road, turned around, then got onto that street. It would have taken at least 20 minutes for me to get onto that road. So the math was not mathing. And I've told people from my hometown this story, and they have no clue how I ended up on that road. No clue. I ended up going home, crying, sobbing, telling my parents all about it. I'd never even heard of that dirt road because it's so tiny and it's so covered with trees. Like, people just like looked past it all the time because it was just this tiny little dirt road in the middle of nowhere in our city. No one went down it unless you were like working at a farm like down the way. Still to this day, I'm absolutely stumped at what could have happened to me other than I was abducted by aliens.
Now, this story to me sounds like a glitch in the matrix, kind of like the ones that we talked about earlier, where people experienced like maybe a reality jump, or they lost all of this time, wound up on a road they never would normally drive on. And this video was actually posted like over the summer too. This was not like a super recent TikTok, but she feels like it might have been aliens. So I'm putting it in this part of the video, but let me know what you think. Now, the next TikTok comes from a user named cryptidsexposed. In 1994, this man claims that his daughter was taken by sky people.
In 1994, our daughter came out of her bedroom one morning and came over to my wife and said, "Last night I was flying." She says, "So you were flying?" And she said, "Yeah, the sky people took me." And my wife was a little confused. She was like, "So, like, you had a dream?" And she says, "No, I was flying. I was in the air." And I was upset because I didn't have my blankie. She took her blankie everywhere with her. And my wife said, "So, like, what do you mean?" She goes, "The sky people took me. I was in the sky flying. I was waving at you guys. I could see the house." And this kind of freaked my wife out. So she questioned her a little bit more. And she totally believed her. And I think I had gone to work that morning. When I came home, she told me about it, and we were both a little freaked out about it. And we talked about it. And it's always just been a thing we've kind of joked about, my daughter talking about the sky people.
Now, you might have noticed at the end of this video, it ends really abruptly, and I was scrolling through his account, and there is like a part 2 and a part 3, but they don't make any sense in correlation to this story. I feel like there's a part that must be missing because he suddenly starts talking about an episode of something, and then in part 3 goes into talking about the congressional hearing on aliens that happened in November. So I feel like there has to be something missing because, like, I'm not even going to show those parts to you. They just make no sense in correlation with this story. But I still thought it was interesting enough. His daughter being taken by the sky people was creepy enough. You had to hear this part of the story at least. I really hope he comes out with the rest of it sometime. One TikToker, ti.themadwoman, thinks that the reason we're getting so much increased UFO footage and alien footage on our timelines is because the aliens are about to reveal themselves.
Are you guys seeing the increased UFO activity videos on this app? So I'm personally stoked for this. So something that you may not know about me is that my favorite conspiracy theory is that the reason that like Mexico had their hearing on alien remains and the US government had its hearing on UFOs is because they're actually prepping us for the fact that the aliens are coming out in 2025. This is my favorite conspiracy theory. I'm stoked for it. My friends think I'm nuts. It's one of my bad takes. Everybody thinks I'm nuts. What's new there? But I'm really excited for it. I'm stoked. The videos are very convincing if you haven't seen any of them. A lot of them tend to go up and then come down though. So, I don't know. See what you can go find.
I think the theory is interesting. I'm not gonna hold my breath on an alien reveal in 2025, but if it happens, this is going to be the happiest human being on planet Earth. But I was wondering, what are these UFO sightings? Like, I have seen people talking so much about the aliens in the ocean in this congressional hearing, but like, what are these UFO sightings? So I found a few of the most popular ones. This one is from Ash Rose 824 and takes place in Arizona. And in this video, it's not super clear, but you can see a strange formation of lights in the sky.
Oh, it's okay.
It's gone. No, it's still there. It's still there.
It's hiding in the clouds. I'm
It is
zooming
in the clouds.
in.
That's what my brother said. In the clouds. In the clouds.
Yes, I'm zooming in, babe. I can see the saucers in my zoom.
I know I can see it.
You can see it, Zaid,
I
huh?
can barely see it.
This video has 8 million views on TikTok. Like, that's absolutely crazy. People are so into these supposed UFO sightings. Another one of the really popular ones comes from jesterlloyd. If I'm not mistaken, this one was in New Mexico. I might be wrong, but in this one, it's just a bunch of flashing lights in the sky. Very traditional UFO, if you will.
Holy sh**. What the hell is that?
What is happening? You guys see this? Oh my god, what the f is happening? What is that? What is that?
And listen, are these videos weird? For sure. I mean, I don't know what those things are. Probably drones though. If we're looking at grainy iPhone quality camera footage in the middle of the night, I'm just not immediately going to say, yeah, that's a UFO in the sky, especially not when drones exist. I don't know. I don't know what these things are. But what I will tell you is very concerning is that there are videos that are going really viral of supposed UFO sightings that clearly are digitally created and even say it in the description of these videos, but a lot of people aren't reading it and they're seeing these and immediately thinking that they are like real UFOs, real alien videos, whatever. And it's really interesting. I had posted about the aliens in the ocean on my Instagram. I made this really silly video where I was like, hey, sorry, blacked out in a grief-induced spiral. What do you mean there are aliens in the ocean? Because I had just lost my dog. I was, and I'm still not, in a great place. And I meant it very jokingly. Everybody was talking about it, but I got just roasted in the comments of that, of people who don't follow me, who didn't really understand, you know, that I was not being super serious, who said, you know, you are blatantly spreading misinformation on the internet. Like me, when I spread misinformation, I was shocked because to me, it was so clearly a joke. But there are a lot of people who are really up in arms about this, and I kind of couldn't understand it in that moment. I felt very like, what am I doing? Like, this is clearly, I'm not being super serious. I'm not getting on the internet and saying that these things are true. I'm just making a joke out of it. But then I see things like that and I kind of get it because it is just becoming really widespread misinformation. I mean, to the point where I couldn't even figure out the source exactly of where we were talking about aliens in the ocean itself. I knew it came from the congressional hearing. I couldn't find anyone quoting an exact phrase or talking about an exact experience that was, you know, talked about in the hearing. And yeah, it's really interesting, I guess, to make a really long rambling short. I did want to end off on a fun one though.
Now that we have confirmation that UFOs are indeed in the sky and they are real and we're not crazy, can we talk about the Zimbabwe incident in 1994 where 62 children saw a UFO touchdown on the playground and little men get out of the craft?
In this TikTok from a user named holikela, because of all of these alien sightings that are going around, she talks about a particular UFO sighting at the Ariel School in Zimbabwe back in 1994, where all of the kids who saw a UFO land on the playground at their school drew the exact same thing.
This is the Ariel School in Zimbabwe, and in 1994, 62 school children were outside playing when they saw 2 crafts touch down near their playground, and they saw little men get off of these crafts. Now, they described the little men all the same. Large heads, dark black eyes, slender bodies with tight-fitting uniforms. And then here, look. Staff at the school had all the children draw out what they had seen on the playground that day, and all the children drew very similar pictures. And then on top of that, the children said their mouths didn't move, but they talked to us. I never saw their mouths open, but they were talking to me and they were telling me about stuff that we're doing to the earth and power that we shouldn't be using. That's a whole nother story because what they were told is absolutely wild. But again, would you believe 62 children if they all drew the exact same thing? And then the head of psychiatry from Harvard went to Zimbabwe days after the incident happened, so it was still fresh on the kids' memories, and he interviewed each one of them individually, and he came to the conclusion that these kids were not lying. They saw a craft touch down on the playground in Zimbabwe in 1994. The Ariel School in Zimbabwe is only 106 miles away from Mount Nyangani, where people go missing all the time, and there's supposedly a UFO base inside of it.
That is so creepy. Those drawings are such nightmare fuel. I think there was like a documentary or something around this, but it's so fascinating. And you guys know my rule of thumb. You believe kids and you believe animals when they see something strange, especially when it's a ton of kids drawing the exact same thing. With that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed these glitch in the matrix stories and videos. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. A special thank you to my subscribers who are members of the channel. If you want to join the channel memberships and get extra members exclusive perks like members only videos and members only polls to help me decide on future video topics, you can just click that little join button somewhere around the screen. We would love to have you. An extra special thank you to my VIP loves for their continued and generous support of the channel. I love and appreciate you all very, very much. I love you all very much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.